Stand before the mirror and confront what you see. This is not a task for the timid nor a fleeting moment of vanity. This is the reckoning of a soul that dares to acknowledge its reality. The mirror does not lie. It does not flatter, nor does it condemn. It merely reveals. To face this reflection is to face oneself, with all strengths and frailties laid bare. The Stoics taught us that wisdom begins with self-knowledge, and self-knowledge begins with the courage to see ourselves as we are. This is the first and most vital step on the path to inner mastery. Without it, no growth is possible. To shy away from this reflection is to live in shadows, avoiding the light that would show the truth of your being. 2. The illusion of perfection. Perfection is a phantom, a fleeting shadow that entices us with promises it can never fulfill. To chase it is to embark on a journey with no destination, for perfection does not exist in the mortal realm. Yet countless souls toil endlessly under its oppressive weight, striving to project an image unblemished and pristine. This illusion, born of pride and fear, leads us further from the truth of who we are. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus once remarked that a man is not disturbed by events but by the view he takes of them. So it is with perfection. It is not the imperfections themselves that harm us, but the distorted belief that we must be flawless to be worthy. We polish the exterior, crafting a mask for the world to admire, while the inner self withers under neglect. This pursuit is a denial of our humanity, for to be human is to err, to struggle, to rise and to fall. In our quest to appear perfect, we betray ourselves. We silence the voice within that seeks growth, replacing it with the hollow echoes of comparison and validation from others. We forget that true strength is not in appearing flawless, but in embracing our flaws and turning them into stepping stones for growth. The cracks in our character are not marks of failure, but invitations to improve. They are the teachers that whisper truths we might otherwise ignore. To free ourselves from this illusion, we must first unmask it. Ask yourself, whose standard of perfection are you trying to meet? Is it your own, or has it been imposed by others, by society, by fleeting trends that shift like sand in the wind? Look deeply into the mirror and question the narrative you have constructed about yourself. Are you striving to be someone you are not? Or are you striving to become the best version of who you already are? The Stoic path calls for simplicity and honesty. Simplicity in accepting that no one is without flaw, and honesty in confronting those flaws without self-loathing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is a call to abandon the performance of perfection and embrace the pursuit of virtue. Perfection is unattainable, but excellence, born of consistent effort and self-reflection, is within your reach. By rejecting the illusion of perfection, you will find freedom. Freedom from the endless cycle of self-judgment and comparison, and freedom to grow in authenticity. In this liberation, you will discover a truth far more powerful than any mirage of flawlessness. You will find yourself. And in that discovery lies the strength to face the world, not as an image of perfection, but as a reflection of resilience, humility, and true humanity. 3. What lies beneath the surface? To truly know oneself, one must look beyond the surface. What you see in the mirror is but a shallow reflection, a physical form that hides the vast, intricate depths of your inner world. Beneath the skin lies the core of who you are, a tangle of thoughts, emotions, desires, and beliefs. Yet how often do we pause to explore this deeper truth? How often do we dare to confront the self that resides behind the mask we show to the world? The Stoics understood that the outer appearance is inconsequential without harmony within. Seneca taught that it is not the external circumstances of life that define a person, but the strength of their inner character. What lies beneath the surface is what shapes your choices, governs your reactions, and determines the quality of your life. But uncovering this truth requires effort, and it demands honesty. Start by asking yourself the uncomfortable questions. Who are you when no one is watching? What drives your actions? Is it virtue, or is it the need for approval, the hunger for power, or the fear of rejection? These are not easy questions, and the answers may reveal parts of yourself that you would rather ignore. But it is in this act of self-examination that growth begins. Too often, we remain at the surface because it is familiar. We cling to labels, roles, and identities that offer a semblance of certainty. We define ourselves by our professions, our relationships, or our possessions, as if these external markers could encompass the totality of our being. But these are only fragments of the truth. They are fleeting, subject to change, and ultimately beyond our control. To build a life upon them is to build upon sand. The Stoics remind us to turn inward and cultivate what is unchanging. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." What lies beneath the surface is the essence of who you are, your character, your values, your capacity for reason and compassion. These are the treasures worth nurturing, for they form the bedrock of a meaningful and resilient life. Digging beneath the surface is not a task for the faint of heart. It requires confronting the parts of yourself that are flawed, broken, or misguided. But do not despair at what you find. The Stoic path is not about perfection, but progress. Each discovery, no matter how painful, is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your highest self. Look beyond the reflection in the mirror. Look beyond the roles you play and the masks you wear. Seek the truth that lies beneath and embrace it with courage and humility. For it is only when you face the depths of who you are that you can begin to shape the life you are meant to live. Let this be your starting point, not an end, but a beginning to uncover the limitless potential within. 4. The courage to see yourself. It takes courage to see yourself, not the version you present to others, nor the idealized image that society encourages, but the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. This is not a superficial glance, but a deep introspective gaze that seeks to understand your innermost thoughts, motivations, and weaknesses. The Stoics understood that self-awareness is the cornerstone of personal growth, and it is not a path for the faint-hearted. To see yourself clearly is to embrace vulnerability and confront the uncomfortable truths about your nature. When you stand before the mirror, what do you see? Is it a face marked by the scars of life? Or is it a mask crafted from the expectations and judgments of others? Too often, we fear what we might discover if we look too closely. We fear the flaws, the contradictions, the inconsistencies. We fear the parts of ourselves that are imperfect, the aspects of our character that do not align with the image we wish to project. Yet it is only when we have the courage to look at ourselves in full honesty that true transformation begins. The fear of seeing ourselves as we are stems from a deep desire to protect the ego. The ego convinces us that to reveal our flaws is to expose ourselves to shame, rejection, and failure. But the Stoics knew that the ego is a false guide. It is the part of us that resists change and growth, the part that clings to comfort rather than truth. To embrace the courage to see yourself is to dismantle the ego's grip on your life. It is to recognize that it is not our flaws that define us, but our response to them. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies not only to external circumstances, but to our internal reflections as well. What matters is not whether you are free of flaws or shortcomings, but how you choose to acknowledge them, and more importantly, how you choose to grow from them. It takes far more courage to accept your imperfections than to deny them, for in acceptance, you release the hold they have over you. Look deeply into your reflection and ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What aspects of myself am I afraid to confront? The act of facing your true self is not about condemning what you find, but about recognizing it with clarity and compassion. It is about understanding that these aspects, however flawed, are part of your human experience. They do not define your worth, nor do they diminish your potential. They are simply points of learning, areas where you can cultivate virtue and strength. The courage to see yourself is not a one-time act, but a daily practice. It is a commitment to show up in truth, to examine your thoughts and actions with integrity, and to acknowledge where you need to grow. Every time you turn away from this confrontation, you deny yourself the opportunity to evolve. But every time you look inward with honesty and resolve, you become stronger, wiser, and more capable of living a life rooted in virtue. This is the essence of the Stoic path, embracing reality as it is, without illusion, without avoidance. It is not an easy path, for it asks you to face the uncomfortable and the unknown. But it is the only path that leads to true freedom, for when you face yourself with courage, you free yourself from the tyranny of self-deception. You become your own guide, your own mentor, and in doing so you cultivate the inner strength necessary to navigate the challenges of life with grace, purpose, and resilience. 5. Breaking the chains of self-deception. Self-deception is the quiet enemy that binds you in chains, holding you captive to false beliefs about who you are, what you are capable of, and the nature of the world around you. It is a subtle force, often disguised as comfort or convenience, but its effects are insidious. It convinces you to accept a version of reality that is far removed from the truth, clouding your judgment and stifling your growth. The Stoics understood that to live a life of virtue and wisdom, one must first break free from these chains and confront the reality of one's own limitations, biases, and illusions. Consider for a moment how often you deceive yourself. Perhaps you convince yourself that you are content with your current situation when, in truth, you are dissatisfied. Perhaps you tell yourself that you are not capable of achieving greatness, when in reality, it is your fear of failure that holds you back. Self-deception manifests in many forms: the denial of your own shortcomings, the rationalization of your failures, the evasion of responsibility for your actions. Each of these lies is a chain, a barrier that prevents you from seeing things as they truly are. And until you break these chains, you will remain trapped in a prison of your own making. To break free, you must first acknowledge the lies you have been telling yourself. This is not an easy task. The ego resists the truth, for it fears exposure, it fears vulnerability. But the Stoics knew that only through honesty can you begin the process of transformation. You must look squarely at the areas in your life where you have been deceiving yourself and ask the difficult questions. Why am I avoiding the truth? What am I afraid of discovering? What am I refusing to accept? This process requires humility. It requires the willingness to set aside pride and admit that you are not perfect, that you have made mistakes, that you have fallen short. But in that humility lies strength. To admit your failings is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. It is the first step toward growth, for it is only when you confront the truth about yourself that you can begin to change. The Stoics believed that the mind is our greatest asset, but it is also our greatest liability when left unchecked. The mind, when allowed to roam unchecked by reason, can create a world of illusions. It can convince you that you are powerless when you are not, or that you are helpless when you have the ability to act. It can blind you to opportunities and distort your perception of reality. To break free from self-deception, you must discipline your mind, train it to see clearly, and question the narratives it creates. In every moment, ask yourself, is this the truth, or am I deceiving myself? Is this thought born of wisdom, or is it a lie that I have accepted out of fear or convenience? It is not enough to recognize these lies once, you must commit to challenging them daily. Every time you catch yourself in self-deception, you have an opportunity to break free, to clear away the fog, and see the world as it truly is. The path of the Stoic is a path of self-mastery. It is a commitment to truth, to clarity, and to the rejection of falsehoods, both external and internal. When you break the chains of self-deception, you free yourself from the limitations that have held you back. You open yourself to the possibility of living a life aligned with your true purpose, your deepest values, and your fullest potential. Do not underestimate the power of self-deception. It is the most subtle of enemies, often disguised as comfort or familiarity. But do not fear the work of confronting it, for the rewards are immeasurable. When you embrace truth, when you face yourself honestly, you become liberated. You become the master of your own mind, and in that mastery you discover a wellspring of strength, clarity, and purpose that will carry you through the challenges of life with unwavering resolve. 6. The role of reflection in growth. Reflection is not a passive activity, it is the active process of turning inward, examining the thoughts, actions, and choices that define your existence. It is the art of stepping back from the noise of the world and looking with clarity at your own life. The Stoics understood that without reflection, growth would be impossible. They believe that wisdom is not something to be acquired, but something to be uncovered through continual self-examination. This process is not a one-time event, but an ongoing practice, one that demands your attention, commitment, and discipline. The world is full of distractions, and the temptation to avoid looking inward is great. It is far easier to keep busy, to fill each moment with external noise, and to avoid confronting the questions that lie deep within. Yet, it is in these moments of stillness and reflection that true growth occurs. It is only when you step away from the busyness of life that you can gain the perspective necessary to understand your purpose, your values, and your direction. Reflection allows you to examine your actions without judgment or shame, but with a spirit of inquiry and understanding. When you reflect, ask yourself, have I acted in accordance with my values? Did I approach today with integrity and purpose? Where did I succeed and where did I fall short? This process is not about self-criticism, but about learning. It is about recognizing patterns in your behavior and thoughts, and using that awareness to refine and improve. The Stoics were masters of this practice, using reflection not as a means of self-punishment, but as a tool for wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic leaders, kept a journal not as a means of chronicling his day, but as a way of engaging in constant self-reflection. In his Meditations, he writes, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This is the essence of reflection. The mind, if left unchecked, will wander, grasping at fleeting desires and irrational fears. But through reflection, you can bring your thoughts into alignment with your highest values, shaping your actions in a way that supports your deepest purpose. Reflection is also a means of understanding your emotions. How often do we act out of anger, frustration, or fear, only to regret it later? In these moments, the lack of reflection leads to rash decisions, emotional reactions, and regrets. But when you pause to reflect, you can observe these emotions without being controlled by them. You can recognize them for what they are, temporary responses to external events, and choose how you wish to react. Reflection provides the space to separate yourself from your emotions, allowing you to respond with wisdom rather than reacting impulsively. This practice of reflection is essential not only for personal growth but for cultivating inner peace. When you reflect, you step away from the chaotic currents of external life and return to your center. You reconnect with your true self, your guiding principles, and your purpose. You reclaim control over your thoughts and actions, no longer swept away by the unpredictable tides of the world. But reflection is not merely a solitary exercise, it is a tool for understanding the interconnectedness of all things. By reflecting on your experiences, you gain insight not only into yourself but into the nature of life itself. You begin to understand the impermanence of all things, the inevitability of change, and the power of choice. You see that you are not a passive observer of life, but an active participant, shaping your destiny with every thought, every word, every act. The role of reflection in growth is indispensable. Without it, you will wander aimlessly, reacting to life without understanding the deeper currents that drive you. But with it, you will develop the wisdom to live deliberately, to act with purpose, and to respond to the world around you with clarity and resilience. Through reflection, you will become the master of your own fate, grounded in truth and aligned with your highest self. Embrace the practice of reflection in your daily life. Do not rush through your days without pausing to assess where you are, who you are, and where you are headed. Take time each day to reflect on your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. Use this practice to cultivate self-awareness and to deepen your understanding of the world. In doing so, you will discover the clarity and strength to live a life rooted in virtue and guided by wisdom. 7. Embracing your imperfections. To embrace your imperfections is to acknowledge that you are not a flawless being, nor are you meant to be. Perfection is an illusion, a concept that exists only in the realm of fantasy. In the real world, all things are marked by imperfection, ourselves included. Yet, in a world that often celebrates flawless appearances and unattainable standards, it is easy to forget that it is our imperfections that make us human, that give us the depth, the resilience, and the potential for growth. The Stoics taught that we should not aspire to perfection, but rather to virtue. Perfection, as an external and superficial goal, is fleeting and empty. Virtue, on the other hand, is something that can be cultivated, nurtured, and strengthened over time. It is not something you are born with, but something you develop through conscious effort and self-reflection. And within this pursuit of virtue lies the space to embrace the imperfections that define your character. Embracing your imperfections does not mean resigning yourself to mediocrity or passivity. It means accepting the truth about who you are without shame or self-judgment, and recognizing that your imperfections are the very things that provide opportunities for growth. The Stoic path is not about seeking to eliminate flaws, but about transforming them into strengths. Each imperfection you encounter is a challenge, an invitation to become better, to act with greater wisdom, and to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. The process of embracing your imperfections requires humility. It demands that you stop pretending to be something you are not, and instead, open yourself to the reality of your being. Too often we hide behind masks, afraid to show the world the parts of ourselves that we deem unworthy or flawed. But it is in these vulnerable, imperfect moments that true strength is found. To stand in the truth of who you are, with all your imperfections, is the essence of courage. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the core of embracing imperfections. When you encounter a flaw, do not see it as a barrier, but as an opportunity. The obstacle is not something to avoid, but something to engage with. Your imperfections are not to be feared or hidden. They are to be understood, accepted, and, when possible, transformed into something greater. When you look at your life, ask yourself, what are the imperfections that I am hiding from? What am I ashamed of? What part of myself have I neglected or ignored? These are the areas where growth resides. By embracing them, you invite the opportunity to learn, to evolve, and to become stronger. The more you resist your imperfections, the more they control you. But when you accept them and choose to work with them, you take back your power. Perfection, as an external standard, is unreachable, but your imperfections, when embraced with wisdom, become a source of strength and clarity. It is not the absence of flaws that makes someone virtuous, it is the willingness to confront them with grace, understanding, and a desire to grow. By accepting your imperfections, you release the weight of expectation and open yourself to the freedom of being truly yourself. You no longer need to pretend, to strive for an ideal that does not exist. You can stand as you are, knowing that your value lies not in being perfect, but in being authentically you. Embrace your imperfections, for they are the foundation of your growth. Let them be the catalysts for self-improvement and inner strength. Do not shy away from the parts of yourself that you deem imperfect. Instead, welcome them with open arms, for in doing so you welcome the opportunity to rise above them, to grow stronger, and to live a life rooted in truth, virtue, and self-acceptance. Through this embrace, you will discover that your imperfections are not something to hide, but something to honor, for they are the very elements that shape the person you are becoming. 8. The power of acceptance. Acceptance is not passive resignation or the avoidance of action. It is not a surrender to fate or an abandonment of responsibility. True acceptance is the profound recognition that there are elements in life beyond your control, and that resisting them only creates unnecessary suffering. It is a choice to align yourself with reality, to meet life as it is, without attempting to impose your will on the world in ways that serve only the ego. The Stoics understood that the power to live a fulfilled life lies in the ability to accept what is, while still striving for what can be. Consider the many things you cannot change: the circumstances of your birth, the actions of others, the events that unfold in the world around you. These are forces beyond your control, and to expend energy fighting against them is to waste precious resources. Instead, acceptance allows you to focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your reactions, and your choices. It is in the acceptance of the uncontrollable that you find peace, for when you stop resisting reality, you stop creating unnecessary conflict within yourself. Acceptance is not about passivity. It is about recognizing that resistance to what is causes more harm than good. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, famously taught we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is the heart of acceptance. It is not an invitation to passively accept injustice or hardship, but an invitation to respond to them with wisdom, composure, and integrity. It is to accept the things that cannot be changed, while actively working toward improving the things that can. The practice of acceptance begins with recognizing the boundaries of your control. When you feel frustration, anger, or anxiety rising within you, ask yourself, can I change this situation? If the answer is no, then release your attachment to it. Stop trying to manipulate the world around you, and instead focus on how you can best respond. The Stoics remind us that the key to inner peace lies in the recognition that we cannot control the external world, but we can always control our inner world. In your relationships, acceptance means understanding that you cannot change other people. You cannot make them think, feel, or act the way you want. People will disappoint you, hurt you, and fall short of your expectations. But acceptance teaches you to let go of the need to control others. It reminds you to treat others as they are, not as you wish them to be, and to meet their actions with understanding, not judgment. By accepting the reality of who people are, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional turmoil. The acceptance of life's challenges is another vital aspect of this practice. We will all face hardship, loss, failure, pain, or disappointment. The Stoics understood that life is not a series of perfect moments, but a series of challenges that provide opportunities for growth. Acceptance does not mean you resign yourself to suffering, but that you approach suffering with grace and resolve. You understand that pain, like joy, is a part of the human experience, and by accepting it, you are better equipped to move through it with resilience. Acceptance is also about embracing the impermanence of life. Nothing lasts forever. The good moments, the bad moments, the people, the opportunities, all are temporary. To accept this truth is to free yourself from attachment, for attachment to fleeting things is the root of much of our suffering. When you accept the impermanence of all things, you learn to appreciate the present moment without clinging to it. You find peace in knowing that life is constantly unfolding, and each moment, whether joyful or painful, is a part of the natural flow of existence. The power of acceptance lies not in giving up, but in giving over control to the forces that are beyond you and focusing your energy on the things you can influence. It is about letting go of your desire to control everything and embracing the freedom that comes from surrendering to what is. This acceptance brings peace, for in it you find a profound sense of freedom, the freedom self, the freedom to act with integrity, and the freedom to face whatever comes your way with courage, wisdom, and grace. Embrace acceptance in your life. Recognize the boundaries of your control and focus your energy on responding with wisdom and composure. Release your attachment to things that cannot be changed and find peace in the knowledge that the only true power lies in your ability to control your reactions and your actions. Through acceptance, you will find the strength to navigate the complexities of life, the clarity to live in alignment with your values, and the resilience to face every challenge with confidence and grace. 9. Cultivating inner calm. In the midst of chaos, the ability to maintain inner calm is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. The world will continue to throw challenges, distractions, and turbulence your way, but your response to these external forces lies entirely in your hands. Stoicism teaches us that true peace does not come from external circumstances, but from the mastery of one's inner world. Inner calm is not the absence of external noise, but the presence of a quiet, resilient mind that is undisturbed to starve fluctuations of life. This calm is cultivated through practice, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to living in harmony with reason. The mind, if left unchecked, will be tossed about by every passing storm, every anxious thought, every piece of bad news, every conflict with others. But the Stoics understood that we do not have to be slaves to these external events. Instead, we can develop the strength to remain unmoved in the face of adversity. This does not mean becoming indifferent to the world around us, but it means cultivating a deep sense of peace that allows us to respond with clarity and composure, regardless of what is happening externally. The first step in cultivating inner calm is the practice of mindfulness. Awareness of the present moment is the foundation of calm. When your mind is fully engaged in the present, it is not dwelling on the past, nor is it anxiously anticipating the future. It is centered, focused, and grounded in the here and now. The practice of mindfulness allows you to break free from the endless cycle of worry and regret that often consumes your thoughts. It teaches you to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, without being carried away by them. When you are mindful, you gain the ability to respond to situations thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Another key element of cultivating calm is the development of emotional resilience. Life will bring pain, loss, and hardship, and while these experiences cannot be avoided, your response to them is entirely within your control. The Stoics believe that emotional resilience comes from accepting the impermanence of all things and recognizing that emotions, like everything else, are fleeting. When you experience emotional upheaval, remind yourself that this too shall pass. Do not cling to negative emotions, nor allow them to define you. Instead, acknowledge them, understand their origin, and then release them. By developing emotional resilience, you create space for a calm, steady mind that is not overwhelmed by the storms of life. At the core of inner calm is acceptance, the acceptance of things as they are, without the need for them to be different. So often we spend our energy fighting against reality, wishing for things to be otherwise. This constant resistance creates inner turmoil. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to be at peace with the present moment, whatever it may hold. It does not mean giving up or resigning ourselves to passivity, but rather, it means aligning our actions with the reality of the present moment. When we accept the way things are, we stop fighting and begin to act with clarity, purpose, and serenity. Another important practice for cultivating inner calm is the discipline of self-reflection. Regularly take time to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotions. Examine your reactions to events and ask yourself whether they align with your values and principles. Through reflection, you become more aware of your triggers and patterns, and you can choose to act with greater awareness and composure. Self-reflection also allows you to let go of grudges, resentments, and negative emotions, which are heavy burdens that disrupt your peace of mind. The more you cultivate the habit of reflection, the more you will strengthen your ability to maintain calm in any situation. The environment in which you live also plays a role in the cultivation of inner calm. A chaotic, cluttered space can mirror the chaos of the mind. By simplifying your surroundings and creating a space that fosters peace, you can support the cultivation of a calm mind. Take time to organize your physical environment, eliminate distractions, and create a space that reflects the calm you wish to cultivate within. This outer peace will support your inner peace, providing you with a foundation from which to grow. Finally, the Stoics taught that the cultivation of inner calm is not a destination but a lifelong practice. It is not something that you achieve once and for all, but something that requires daily effort and discipline. The challenges of life will continue to test your ability to maintain calm, but with each test, you grow stronger. The more you practice mindfulness, emotional resilience, acceptance, self-reflection, and simplicity, the more you will strengthen your ability to remain calm, no matter what life throws your way. To cultivate inner calm is to align yourself with your highest values, to live in accordance with reason, and to embrace the present moment with acceptance and clarity. It is a practice that will serve you in every area of your life, from relationships to work to personal challenges. With inner calm, you will face adversity with composure, navigate uncertainty with confidence, and approach every situation with a clear and steady mind. Embrace the path of calm, for it is the foundation of true strength, resilience, and wisdom. 10. The strength of patience. Patience is not a passive trait. It is not merely the ability to wait or endure. True patience is the capacity to remain steadfast and composed in the face of adversity, delay, or hardship without losing your sense of purpose or integrity. It is the quiet strength that allows you to weather storms without being moved by them. Patience is a fundamental quality of the Stoic mind, for it enables you to see beyond the immediate challenges of the present moment and to maintain a long-term perspective on your goals and values. In a world that prizes immediacy, where everything is expected to happen now, patience is often undervalued. We are conditioned to want quick results, instant gratification, and rapid success. Yet, the Stoics understood that true growth, wisdom, and virtue cannot be rushed. They are the result of deliberate, steady, and patient effort. The process of becoming your best self is not a sprint, but a marathon, a journey that requires perseverance, discipline, and above all, patience. The first aspect of patience is the ability to endure difficult circumstances without succumbing to frustration, anger, or despair. Life will inevitably bring moments of hardship, setbacks, and challenges. The Stoics taught that these difficulties are not to be feared or resisted, but to be embraced as opportunities for growth. It is in these moments that your true strength is tested. Can you remain calm in the face of adversity? Can you stay focused on your values and goals even when the path ahead seems difficult and uncertain? Patience is what allows you to stay grounded, to keep moving forward, and to maintain your resolve. In practicing patience, you cultivate resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to continue moving forward despite obstacles, and to keep pursuing your goals even when progress is slow. When you are patient, you do not become discouraged by delays or failures. You recognize that setbacks are a natural part of the process, and that true success comes not from avoiding failure, but from learning from it. Patience allows you to stay the course, to trust in the process, and to remain focused on your long-term vision. Patience also teaches you to embrace the present moment without constantly longing for the future. Too often we are consumed by the desire for what lies ahead. We fixate on our goals and ambitions, hoping that the next achievement will bring us happiness or fulfillment. But in doing so, we miss the richness of the present moment. Patience reminds you that life is not a race to the finish line, it is a journey to be experienced fully. When you cultivate patience, you learn to appreciate the process, to find meaning in the everyday, and to enjoy the small steps that lead to larger victories. The Stoics believed that patience was essential for cultivating virtue. Virtue is not something that can be attained overnight. It is the result of consistent, intentional effort. To live a virtuous life requires patience, with yourself, patience with others, and patience with the journey of self-improvement. When you encounter obstacles, whether internal or external, patience helps you to stay committed to your values and principles. It enables you to practice self-discipline, to make decisions based on wisdom rather than impulse, and to act in alignment with your highest self, even when the road ahead is difficult. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, writes, "How much time you will waste in vain, in constant discontentment with your circumstances, simply because you do not have the patience to endure what you cannot change." This is the essence of Stoic patience. It is the ability to accept what you cannot control and to remain composed in the face of things beyond your power. It is the ability to be present with the present moment, to engage with it fully, and to continue striving for what is good, even when the results are not immediate. Patience also helps you to build stronger relationships. In interactions with others, patience allows you to listen deeply, to understand, and to respond with empathy and wisdom. Too often we rush to judgment, reacting hastily based on assumptions or emotions. But true patience enables you to slow down, to take the time to understand the other person's perspective, and to act in a manner that fosters mutual respect and understanding. In relationships, patience is the key to avoiding misunderstandings, resolving conflicts, and building trust. Finally, patience is a reminder that you are not in control of the timing of life. No matter how hard you work or how determined you are, there are forces beyond your control that will influence the course of events. Some things take time, and that time cannot be rushed. The Stoic practice of patience teaches you to let go of the need to control everything and to trust that everything will unfold in its own time. It is a reminder that the universe operates on its own schedule, and all you can do is live in accordance with that flow, acting with purpose, integrity, and calm as you wait for the right moments to present themselves. To cultivate patience is to develop the ability to stay composed in the face of adversity, to endure hardship without losing sight of your values, and to trust in the process of life. It is to embrace the slow, steady progress of growth, and to recognize that the journey itself is as valuable as the destination. Through patience, you will find resilience, clarity, and peace. You will become stronger, wiser, and more connected to the present moment, and you will move forward in life with this steady, unwavering sense of purpose. 11. The art of letting go. To let go is not to give up, nor is it a surrender to fate. It is an act of wisdom, an understanding that clinging to the past, to desires or to things beyond your control only serves to burden your mind and spirit. In the practice of Stoicism, letting go is an essential art, a recognition that attachment to anything outside of ourselves can hinder our growth, our peace, and our ability to move forward. It is the release of unnecessary weight, the freeing of the mind, and the opening up of space for greater clarity, purpose, and freedom. Letting go begins with understanding the nature of attachment. We become attached to many things, people, possessions, achievements, and outcomes. But attachments, by their very nature, create a sense of dependency. They bind us to the past or to a particular vision of the future, preventing us from fully engaging with the present moment. When we are attached to something, we often find ourselves at the mercy of that thing, whether it is a relationship, a possession, or an expectation. We fear losing it, we become anxious about its potential absence, and we begin to tie our sense of self-worth to something external. This, the Stoics teach, is a trap. The truth is that nothing in this life is permanent. People will change, possessions will break or be lost, and circumstances will inevitably shift. To be attached to something that is transient is to invite disappointment, pain, and frustration into your life. But when you practice the art of letting go, you free yourself from these limitations. You release your attachment to outcomes, to external validation, and to the need for things to be different than they are. In doing so, you create space for peace, for acceptance, and for the ability to move forward with a lightness of being. Letting go is not about indifference. It is not about abandoning what is important to you or disconnecting from relationships or goals. Rather, it is the practice of approaching life with an open hand rather than a clenched fist. When you hold on tightly to something, you prevent the natural flow of life. You become rigid and resistant, unwilling to accept change or the possibility of loss. But when you let go, you release control and open yourself to the natural unfolding of things, trusting that the universe will provide what you need when you need it. One of the most challenging areas in which we must practice letting go is in our relationships with others. We often find ourselves clinging to people, wanting them to behave in a certain way or to meet our expectations. We may try to control their actions, their feelings, or their choices, believing that their happiness or well-being is somehow tied to our own. But this attachment only causes friction and suffering, for we cannot control others. To let go in relationships is to allow others to be who they are without attempting to shape them into an ideal version of who we want them to be. It is to love without possession, to care without expectation, and to support without control. In letting go, we also release our attachment to outcomes. We live in a world where success is often measured by tangible results, money, status, achievements, but Stoicism teaches us that these external markers of success are not the true measure of a fulfilling life. The true measure lies in the integrity with which you live, the virtue with which you act, and the peace of mind you cultivate along the way. When you release your attachment to outcomes, you free yourself from the burden of constant striving and the anxiety of failure. You can focus on doing what is right in the moment, regardless of whether the result aligns with your expectations. Letting go also means releasing past hurts and resentments. So often we hold on to grudges, allowing past pain to continue to affect our present lives. We replay old wrongs in our minds, reliving the hurt, the betrayal, the injustice. But in doing so, we keep ourselves trapped in the past. The art of letting go is to forgive not for the sake of the person who wronged you, but for your own peace. To forgive is to release the hold that past pain has over you. It is to free yourself from the chains of anger and resentment and to reclaim your emotional freedom.